Is Justin Gaethje officially retired? I hope not. I sure hope not. Let's unpack what happened here. Gaethje's looking to get a world title fight. Doesn't matter if it's against Oliveira, doesn't matter if it's against Ilia Topuria. There's a fight coming up and Gaethje would like to take on the winner. Now, the big problem is there was a backup fighter for that fight, and that backup fighter was Batty the Batty. Why is that a problem? Well, because every time in UFC history, with one exception, the backup fighter has gotten a world title fight. So, now maybe my timeline doesn't go back far enough. Maybe my timeline needs to back up just slightly another 3, 4, 5 weeks, where I remind you that Justin Gaethje, on a short notice as a 2-1 underdog, came in and beat Fiziev. Justin Gaethje put his entire career, his ability to main event, he put everything on the line and did it successfully, and he would like something for it. Maybe I should include that part of it. Maybe that's, in fact, where the story actually starts. All right, great. So let's start it there. We'll fast forward. I'll put Oliveira in the cage with Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria comes out the other side. Before they fade to black and roll the credits, Batty the Batty gets in and does an organic face-off with Ilia. $10 million. $10 million of production space and sound studios, creative partners, and editing later. You could not achieve what was achieved in that live moment. But Batty the Batty didn't get the shot. At least he didn't get named for having the shot. As a matter of fact, nobody did. Well, as a matter of fact, there was a fight that was already agreed to, which was Dan Hooker versus Arman Tsarukyan, and that fight was said, and I quote, obviously, a #1 contenders match. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I don't think that surprised anybody, that Tsarukyan versus Hooker is going to be a #1 contenders match. What we all also assumed, myself included, is that just didn't mean next. Somebody's going to fight Ilia Topuria, and then coming out the backside of that fight, whoever that somebody is will be determined between Tsarukyan and Hooker. So when you take Tsarukyan and Hooker off the board, and you're staring at the board, and you've got Justin Gaethje saying, hey, it's absolutely got to be me or bust, and you got Batty the Batty that's completely undefeated in the UFC, plus has an organic face-off, you're put in a pretty interesting position. I mean, you've got a lot of correct answers. As a promoter, you dream of being in a position like this. You dream of having 3 and 4 and 5 guys that can all draw, sell, and bring attention no matter how you do it. But you also have to pick one, and there's a rumor, and the rumor is that in January on Paramount for their debut, they're going to contest the lightweight championship of the world, which means Ilia Topuria will be there, which means Ilia needs an opponent. Now, while we understand that Tsarukyan's in front of everybody else, does that mean he's just in front, period? For example, of Batty, for example, of Gaethje. And when Tsarukyan comes, and see, the big chance to answer this question and not have to make it a mess is you just make that announcement, you make that decision, and you put it out publicly prior to this fight. If you have that decision, but you didn't make it, and you haven't made this public after the fight, now you're just adding one more guy to the board, which really convolutes things, and it doesn't change the situation for Justin Gaethje. Like a heads-to-heads argument. If we were to do a debate, right? Let's say I hosted it over here at Bad Guy Inc. I'm the referee, and I got Justin Gaethje, and he gets 90 seconds, and then Batty the Batty gets 90 seconds, and then Justin can respond, and now he gets 60 seconds, and then Batty get right. You understand what the debate is. But if we were to hold one of those over here, a debate between Gaethje and Batty, an argument between Gaethje and Batty for supremacy, only using words, only talking about resumes and what I've done, is very competitive. That's a really interesting battle. Who deserves more? It's a very interesting battle. That contest and narrative is not so strong if you insert Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan is clearly the number one contender. I know that because Dana White said whoever wins this bout is the number one contender, of which Tsarukyan won. I know that because Dan Hooker just might be my favorite fighter and got beat. As a matter of fact, he got finished. And I know that because the rankings, which come out every morning, every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., all have Tsarukyan as number one. So if Tsarukyan takes that spot, right, and a lot of what I just told you is all fact, not opinion. There's one piece of this that is opinion and is not yet fact, which is that Ilia Topuria will be defending the lightweight championship of the world in January on Paramount. If that date is not true, then we don't need to speed this story up. We can all just take our time. And in the process of taking our time, it's going to make the case stronger and stronger for Tsarukyan. If Tsarukyan can turn it around quickly, which he did not appear to be dealing with an injury, it appears that Tsarukyan could definitely make it to the arena in January. And if he does, it does leave Patty the Batty and it leaves Justin Gaethje both with nothing to do. Now, you might get one of them to agree to be a backup fighter. I think that's wise. I think that's very cool. I like the backup fighter. I like that position. But it wouldn't change things that Justin Gaethje wants that fight. And I've never thought that Justin was unreasonable. I never have. I've never thought that Justin shouldn't have that fight. I never thought that Justin shouldn't be rewarded for what he did with Fadzayev. I've never thought any of those things. But if we're operating in the realm of reality, if we're just using reality, what happened to determine where should we go from here and what is next? There is no way to make believe that Arman Tsarukyan is anything other than the number one contender.